is going on, folks? It is Steiner here with a very special episode of Secondhand Talent here with luthier Mike Lehtinen, who was the second ever guest to be on Secondhand Talent in the first season in the second episode, and it's his second time back. Mike Lehtinen, welcome back to Secondhand Talent.
Wow, that's a lot of seconds.
It's a lot of seconds, but here's a second first. Oh, this is the second too. I actually asked it. Okay, so it's not that I've asked this specific question before, but I've only had the opportunity to ask it very infrequently. And the question is, I can't ask you usually we ask the first time you're hearing about secondhand talent, what did that mean to you? Your second interview on the show. We can't really ask you what, you know, you already know.
Yeah.
My question to you is, knowing what secondhand talent stands for, shining the spotlight on the people who shine the spotlights, highlighting the people behind the scenes, how do you see yourself fitting in as secondhand talent?
Well, I mean, I see my part in the machine and supplying the tools to the musicians so that they can, you know, make the music that everyone loves. And, you know, music is a great healer. And, I'm not the best musician, but I want it to be part, and this is my talent, and so I'm making the best of it. And yeah.
So when we last spoke in our first interview, folks, check it out, season one, I believe, episode 4. But I could be wrong, and I'll correct myself in the notes if I'm wrong. And I'll let you guys know if I'm right, But in our last interview, you talked a little bit about your mentor and kind of about how you got taken on. And before we launch into the biggest shift that's happened since we last spoke, which is you starting your own business, MJL Guitars, links in the description. Um, just remind our viewers a little bit, for those of the who are just joining us or haven't seen that particular interview,
Yeah.
kind of what your pathway into being a luthier was and what a luthier is.
Well, a luthier is any person that makes stringed instruments. In general, it could be guitars, basses, violins, cellos, banjos, claps, anything that has strings, frets, no frets. Um, that's what luthier
Well,
does.
that's a pretty good. I mean, I think our first video that got over 1,000 views is that I was confused as to what the name of a piano maker was because if it was a guitar player, was a luthier, or guitar maker was luthier, piano maker had, and turns out the term is just piano maker. Um, but how
Sounds
did
fancy.
how did you get into the path of creating these instruments?
Well, it's kind of a few-year process, but um, I was out on a work trip, and I ran into a fellow that was working at a bar, and he told me he built guitars, and I'd always been interested in the fact that someone could even do that. I ended up staying late that night, went over to his house, saw his workshop, and my world was changed. I mean, I didn't realize it was a possibility to even do this. And then been thinking about it, and then, a few years later, my brother says, you should build a kit guitar. And I'm like, okay, yeah. So I build one, and I'm halfway through building it, and I'm like getting emotional because I'm like, this is what I meant to do. I mean,
Mm.
everything felt right. So then from that point, I signed up at the Chicago School of Guitar Making in Humboldt Park in Chicago. And my mentor is Ian Schneller. And I learned all, the major crucial skills of luthiery in those 2 years that I was studying under him. And I'm forever grateful for his mentorship.
Good words. Yeah, for those of you who haven't listened or watched the episode, first of all, follow us, like, subscribe, tell your friends on whichever platform you happen to be listening to or watching this on. If you haven't, check it out. Season one, I believe, episode four, Better Late Than Never was the name of the episode. We were trying to be punny at the time. And I think that's an often overlooked part of the music. I was going to say live music, but music process in general is that we need instruments to play in order to make music.
Kind of a big part of it, yeah.
One of the first kind of puns that we had in the show is we were wondering, well, if a guitar maker is called a luthier, what is a piano maker called? And it turns out it's just a piano maker, folks. It's just a piano maker. No,
Not as fancy as
not as fancy, but Mike here's a luthier, and I think the major change since you and I last spoke, um, all that long time ago, and we haven't seen each other once in the meantime. It's
nope,
incredible.
not once.
This is the first time we've spoken
Yep.
since then. It's that I can't even keep my face together. But in that time, the biggest change in your life has been MJL Guitars. Folks, you can find the link for MJL Guitars in the bottom. And these are some of the guitars that we're going to talk about. MJL Guitars is Mike Lehtinen's guitar business, and that's something that you started in the meantime since we last spoke. And one of the things that I'd like to start this interview off with is, what was that first build that you were like, this is the one that like I feel like this is truly like an MJL guitar.
Well, it's actually this guitar.
Oh my,
I don't
wow.
know how I got there.
Stunning how that happened.
And this is actually technically my second build, but my first build I was helped by my mentor, Ian Schneller, over at Chicago School of Guitar Making. But this one was 100% constructed by me, and I just used all that knowledge that I learned from my first build to bring it into this one.
And we're in your studio right now, and in case you can't tell, folks, we are in the MJL Guitar Woodworking Studio here, and I'm looking at this guitar up close and personal, and however the camera is translating is not doing it justice. I'm in particular this little rounded piece up here. Now, first, before we show off this particular piece to the camera and we talk about why I think it's so fascinating, can you tell us a little bit about your inspiration when it comes to building guitars, like as far as design, as far as, if there's a particular, woods that you choose, where did the inspiration, let's say for this specific build come from?
So this build was inspired by a few different
Hold it up for the camera.
makers. And one being
There it is.
uh Ryan Scott of Magic Wand Guitars. He has a similar approach to his guitar style, as well as Carl Thompson, who builds basses for Les Claypool. The laminations that I have throughout the guitar are inspired by Doug Irwin, who did Jerry Garcia's guitars. And these pickup rings, I I liked the point that comes down in the middle, really kind of makes it its unique thing, and feel like that was probably from Scott Walker of Santa Cruz, California. Um, but that was, probably a little
And
that came from.
and would you mind just real quick showing the camera those pickup rings you were just talking about?
Yeah.
Um, so I just want to say something about those. Folks, what a lot of people don't realize, check those out. It takes an incredible amount of precision. This is all done by hand. This is all absolutely handcrafted and worked in the shop. And that's the piece I was talking about earlier. That knob up there. I mean, look at all of the different, those are each different layer is a different type of wood, folks. And all of the frets, all of everything was inlaid by Mike himself. And, Mike, as you sit back down here, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about, first of all, a little bit about the inspiration for that piece at the top right there that you just showed the camera. And
Yeah.
then following that, kind of the inspiration for the wood
Hmm.
as well.
So the inspiration for this specific part would probably be a mix of Carl Thompson and Magic Wand guitars. Uh, and then, when I choose my wood and how I like to put it together is I like to have contrasting colors, dark, light, and I feel like that really pops, makes each piece pop the way it should.
And now, for the average person like me, now we're in a workshop. You deal with, obviously wood doesn't come pre-cut, right? It doesn't come down to these dimension sizes that you use. So you're getting a block of wood and you're refining it down to each piece.
Right.
And it, outside of the color augmentation, is there a specific kind of wood that you particularly like to use for, let's say, the front or back or the body or
Well, let's start with the neck.
sure, yeah, please.
Specifically the neck, you want to use a quarter sawn piece of wood, which is a certain cut from the tree. Only portion of the tree can be used for the neck. And what that means is the fibers of the wood run um, parallel with the tension that will be applied when the strings are at full
Mm.
tension. So it provides the most rigidity, and that's what you want specifically the neck. Quarter sawn is what you want to go for. And what was the other part of the question?
The other part of the question was just the inspiration more if there's a particular kind of wood that you like for any particular given part of the
Mm.
instrument.
Well, really, it depends on kind of the body style and kind of what I'm feeling for the instrument. I could have made this guitar and flipped all the colors
Mm.
and had the same model guitar, but
Mm.
different, look completely
But it would
different.
have been a completely different instrument.
Right.
And that's what I think one of the most biggest pieces of understated beauty about this craft is that, you know, each one is handcrafted and therefore so absolutely unique. And I just want to touch on the knobs really quickly. Are those hand done as well?
Well, I am getting into hand doing knobs myself, but this pair was not hand done by me.
Mm.
Um, they were made
But
by someone
just
else.
it's the point of bringing it up though is just to illustrate just how much work from the logo embossment, which I'm not sure if you can see on the camera, but there's a logo embossment right here on the head of the guitar. I mean, from the head to the neck to the bridge to the fretboards to the body. I mean, it's all just so meticulously put together, and there's so much. I look at it and I used to, before I knew exactly what all went into a luthier, I used to look at it and just see guitar.
Yeah,
And I think uh, what one of the things that's really worth highlighting here is, now when I look at a guitar, I look at the guitars behind me, I look at the one that you're holding, and I don't just see an instrument, but I see the hours of work and passion that went into crafting it.
yeah,
So we've got these incredible pieces of wood here, and folks, I don't know if you can see it, but on this side we've got like kind of like an etched illustration
yeah,
of the head of a guitar and the neck. And behind door number two over there, we have Mike who's about to explain to us something about these specific pieces of wood.
Well, as I was speaking before, this piece of wood is quarter sawn. So when you look at the end of it, you
Here,
see,
you
yeah,
describe it. I'll bring it up.
when you look at the end, you'll see that the grain structure would run straight across the whole plank of that wood, providing ultimate rigidity for the neck. That's something I just wanted to point out. That's what you're looking for when you're looking for a piece of um, lumber for a neck specifically. Right here, we have a rosewood drop top, which I will glue together um, and then glue onto a body um, that has been routed out, create a semi-hollow or hollow body guitar. Probably side at the moment, but this is some fine looking rosewood here.
Some fine looking rosewood indeed. Well, Mike, if we learned anything there, it's that I'm bad at holding pieces of wood in front of a camera. But you described them beautifully.
I love wood. So lastly, we have this walnut body blank, which it's already been glued together, and I think this one is going to be quite labor intensive when I get to routing it out because it's going to be completely hollow. Pretty much just going to use the rim of this whole blank for the body outline, if you will.
And again, as we've established, I am terrible at holding up pieces of wood. Um, New skill I learned I didn't have.
Gotta learn something.
You know, we're constant learners, and building off of that, I want to learn a little bit more about the expansion, in particular these two fine instruments behind me right here.
Yeah, so right here,
Here's the thing though, is
yeah,
that you gotta point. So you gotta like kind of talk into the microphone, but also it's a
point
trick.
and
You
talk,
have to
point and talk.
maneuver like this, which I don't know if this sounds good, but we can give it a go.
Well, both of these guitars are currently for sale. Just saying. Uh,
Links in the comments
and
or description.
uh, this one is my third build. This one is my fifth build. And what else can I say about them other than that they are each snowflakes. Each piece is custom. If you didn't figure that out already.
Here, let me go model them off a little bit, and you can talk about the different unique parts of it
Yeah.
as I show them off. So we've got starting off with this bad boy right here. We're gonna come up around and show it off to you.
Yep. So right now you Steiner's bringing this model, which is a Les Paul, my take on a Les Paul, but it's semi-hollow, has 24 frets, um, a five-piece laminated neck in the back to support even more rigidity. Headstocks are known to break on Gibsons, and this will help prevent that. I added a Duesenberg tremolo on the front, um, and that is, I just wanted to add more versatility to an already great instrument. Um, and then when it comes to electronics, I have, retro 50s PAF humbuckers with solid covers that I put on there and single coil, I should say, tapping push pull tone knobs for each pickup to split coils on those pickups. And then, yeah, that is tortoise binding that is from Italy, had imported here. And that that's that is the pride and joy of this guitar, in my opinion. It's because of the uniqueness that tortoise provides, and it's only genuine tortoise can only be gotten in Italy. And then in the back, I wanted to, instead of having plastic for guitars, which you see, I wanted to have as much of the guitar be made out of wood. So I want these wood covers in the back, flamed maple that are extra wood that was from the top, and it's used contrast again, using contrasting colors for uh, just to make it the pieces pop. And yeah, semi hollow and pearl inlay in the headstock. Uh, and yeah, that's magnetic truss rod cover and bone nut and medium jumbo um, nickel silver frets.
There we go. Let's show off that other model you were showing. You
Yeah.
were talking about
So
this guy over here. I'll splice it together so this looks interesting.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're gonna take this up. We're gonna take it up and look at it.
this.
This feels so good. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
I,
I
I like.
wow. I mean that one felt a little bit bigger to me, but this just kind of naturally just feels like folks, I don't play guitar, and if you're just listening to this and not watching the videos on YouTube, you're missing some incredible demonstrations. But I like just holding this, it feels right.
Well,
Holy moly.
I really feel like I dialed in the weight and
Yeah.
weight distribution of it.
This
You
it
know,
really I'll be perfectly honest. I don't think I've ever picked up a guitar that's felt quite like this. This is really good. Let me bring this up to the camera so we can talk a little bit more about the details. But folks, I have never felt I've never felt an instrument that has just felt so right as someone who does not play for shit and cannot like I've tried like this for some reason just feels like I would be able to play it instantly. Like let's take a closer look at this one here. This is gorgeous too, by the way.
this one's really special for a lot of reasons. So this one is the Treese 313 model, which is named after um, a friend that I met that inspired me to get into guitar building. Um, he had since passed, and I wanted to dedicate an instrument in his honor. So that's why I named it the Trees 313. So it has a spalted tamarind top, um, Ken Armstrong pickups, which can be split. It's got a Schaller bridge, uh, handmade tortoise pickup rings, hand cut pearl inlays, stainless steel jumbo frets. Um, it's almost completely hollow except for a little base plate underneath the bridge. In the back, that's a cedar back and walnut strip down the middle with rosewood purfling that put around the edges there with another tortoise back plate. Kind of match those pickup rings up front. And the neck is a mahogany, rosewood fretboard, and it's rosewood logo that I cut out, and that that top there, on the very top of that guitar, that little cap was inspired by Godfrey Guitars, guitar maker out of Canada who studied under Carl Thompson. And I just wanted to give him a shout out because I couldn't have gotten this guitar done without that little bit of knowledge I learned. And yeah, thanks for showing that off.
I'm gonna say, man, honestly, I have I've never held an instrument that has felt so right to hold. How so for folks who can't, I mean, it's hard to describe what I'm talking about, but there's this balance that I feel between the body and the head where it's almost like they're on an even keel
Hmm.
as opposed to being one heavier than the other. I mean, without giving away the secret sauce, can you tell us just like a little bit about what inspired you to go in that direction?
Well, I knew it was going to be a larger body, and yet it's still lighter. But the reason behind that is the maple body that it's made out of is super light, and that really provides the lightness. So when you have a lighter body that is large, and a mahogany neck, which is dense and thick and has more weight to it, they really tend to counter themselves out. And that's just I kind of stumbled upon that to be
Mhm.
honest, but I'm happy I did.
And is that like a kind of like a common experience, I guess, that you kind of stumble upon these types of things and that you just add them to your cache of what you continue to use as you build instruments, further down the
Yeah.
line?
It's like Bob Ross would say you make happy accidents. And each time I make a mistake,
Hmm.
I use that opportunity to correct that mistake and maybe make it an accent feature.
Hmm.
For example, uh, making this backplate, I accidentally drilled through um, one of the spots. So I decided I want to make it look a little bit nicer, and instead of scrapping this whole piece of wood, I'll just inlay a little tortoise to match the whole tortoise
Oh yeah, I
aesthetic.
see it in there. Now let me see if I can bring that to the camera so folks can see it. So that actually it looks like there's a hole there at the top, but that actually right there is a matching tortoise inlay to go along with the accent on the side of the instrument. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, so every mistake is not necessarily a mistake as long as you don't look at it that way. You just gotta take a step back and you'll find a solution. You always do. I always do.
What was the inspiration to actually start a business and create MJL Guitars and to say like, hey, like, okay, you know what, this is what I'm gonna make the pivot to and make this my career.
Um, Simply it's just my passion for it. I just know, I just feel it in my heart that this is what I'm meant to do. And I'm just not gonna stop. Even if this doesn't produce a full career, this is never gonna be something I ever stop doing. Um and I just that drive is just what's pushing me to try to make this work. And I feel like I will get there at some point.
I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding. I mean, the product shows for itself. I mean, so you recently created an instrument, a guitar, as a matter of fact, for a mutual friend of ours, Justin Recam of Munyon. Shout out. And of Songbird School of Music in Elmhurst. Check it out. Shout out. Links in the description. Why not? Tell us about that project. What was it like creating a guitar for someone who makes some of the music that you truly just enjoy?
Well, you know, it was an honor. It was kind of like uh, a dream come true in a way because to have a musician of that caliber playing one of my instruments, just shows that he respects, understands my abilities, and approves. That support is means a lot coming from a guy like him. Um, but yeah, it was about a year long process. Collaborating with him, going back and forth on from start to finish, the layout, the whole body design, um, the wood choice, the pickups, electronics, the frets, the hardware. Uh, every aspect of that guitar was decided by Justin, and then my input, saying will that work or not. Um, so there was a couple things we had to negate because it just weren't feasible. But um, overall, I think I was able to give him exactly what he was looking for in an instrument, and maybe then some.
I mean, right, because also we have to acknowledge that there's certain parameters that you have to operate within. You're
Right,
right. Like there's certain laws of physics, for
right.
example,
There are rules. Yeah.
right. There's some things that just can't happen. But
Right.
but to be able to deliver product and for what it's worth, if we have a picture of the guitar, we'll throw it up on the screen. But I've seen it. It's gorgeous. And It really is, as these all are, is kind of, a work of art,
Yeah, I appreciate
in
that.
and of itself, used as a vehicle to create other art,
Hmm.
is kind of the meta, more secondhand talent
Yeah,
version.
art creates art because then when they create music, people listening to music, they create their art. So it's just a ever expanding flow of art,
Yeah,
really, if you think about it.
I mean, it's kind of basic.
Yeah. Well, speaking of basic, I
Yeah,
actually have this five-string fretless bass that I,
incredible how that just appeared.
yeah, yeah. Again, magic is
The magic of secondhand talent, folks.
there. And
This is it's so for if you can't see it up close, do you mind if
yeah,
I run this one by the camera as well?
yeah.
Ooh, this feels the strings are smooth. What?
Yeah, so those are flat wound strings by Roto Sound. And probably most fretless basses use those or half round strings. And yeah, so this bass is five-string fretless. Um, and we have maple fret markers, so you get a better idea of where you're playing. Carved upper horn um, on the body there, and I went with a antique vintage white. It's kind of like like an off-white look, and a satin finish instead of a nice glossy finish. Just to try a different approach to finishing. It has some standard pickups in there. I'm gonna drop it in some Bartolini pickups soon. But yeah, no, this bass is beautiful sounding, very warm, as a fretless should sound, and I think it's got excellent playability. Also for sale, 1,100 bucks, and just wanted to show that you know it's not just six-string guitars. It can be basses. It can be mandolins,
Any number
banjos.
of strings, as long as, again, like Mike said earlier, as long as it's a stringed instrument, we're operating within the realm of his capabilities. And that can expand to create things that are atypical, like me being a showcase host QVC style and showing off guitars and basses like that. I never thought that that would happen, but who knows? Things manifest,
Yeah,
things happen, and they become these beautiful realized creations that we see here before us. It's pretty wild to
yeah,
to to have come from the time of the taping just about a year and a half ago when your interview aired, to now. I mean, which at the time of airing is closer to closer to 2 years
yeah,
since that interview aired, which is pretty wild in and of itself.
yeah,
And it's just been an absolute pleasure to have you back and really talk in a lot more detail about the craft itself, and what you've accomplished.
yeah. Well, I just wanted to say one last thing.
Yeah,
Got a
please.
upcoming project that I've been working on. Been
Mhm.
collaborating with CCAS Art, and we're making a horror themed guitar.
Oh.
So I kind of just went with a basic Telecaster body style,
Hmm.
but she has it right now. She's doing a crazy horror themed painting on it, and so this neck is going to go along with that, and I have inlaid bloody knife on the 12th fret
Oh,
as well as a bloody knife on the
I
back of the
gotta I
headstock.
gotta show that to our loyal viewers there on YouTube. There.
Yeah, so that's a hand cut curl inlay with walnut handle. Um, put some little brass embellishments on there, and the red is a red dyed abalone pearl. And let's see, we got a rosewood fretboard and a flamed maple neck. Um, The whole uh, concept behind this neck with the points is that it's a knife neck, just like the knife suggests. Um, so that's what the little points and the headstock, and that's all that entails. Yeah.
It's pretty fucking killer.
It, no pun intended. Yeah.
No pun intended. I'll
Yeah.
take that one on the
Yeah.
chin there. Well, Mike, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me in your studio in the midst of all these projects. Folks, Mike has a bunch of guitars available. You can find the links for them in the description of this episode. Mike, thank you for taking the time, the second time, for being on Secondhand Talent.
For a second time, thank you.
And that and that's podcast. There we go. We did it.
Dun, 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 dun.
Jams on wood guitars. They're called jams on wood guitars, and Mike approves. Down out. Mike approves. Down out. Mike approves. Down out. Down out. I would actually rather you be holding a piece of wood as I. Oh, let me turn this a little bit because I realized I was hiding all the time. One of the interesting things about this show is that it's been a total learning curve, like from A to B, like learning how to dial. Like we're dialing in this equipment right now to make sure we sound good. We don't know, folks. We don't know if we sound at the time of this taping. We don't know if we sound good right now. The camera's a little off center. Let's try to adjust the table a little bit to see if we can.
When you look at the end of, it's all right.
Wouldn't be this without spelling. All right. That woman from Shark Tank happens to be hiring for QVC. I'd probably stay away, but I would take the job. Yeah. Yeah,
That's better.
that's much better. Yeah, see, we're killing it. Um, but this is definitely a first for me being in like a workshop. Like this is like being in like Dexter's laboratory, bro.
It's definitely a laboratory.
I
It's my
mean,
safe space.
it is gonna be so exciting to get into this. All right, there we go. No, I'm not hiding anything. Except my secrets. This is our first check.
What was that?
Camera's a little crooked, but we're in Mike Lehtinen studio. We're gonna focus here, and we're gonna do this. This is a cool thing. We can go bump bump. Oh, we can't zoom with this feature. It's not possible. Hand me a piece of wood, all.
Oh, were you thinking go boom, boom, like
Yeah, I
that?
kind of wanted to go don don don. This is gonna be hilarious.
Actually, fuel this.
All right, perfect. I can almost feel myself playing. Three, two, one.
Right here, we have a rosewood drop top, which I will glue together.
Well, Mike, if we learned anything there, it's that I'm bad at holding pieces of wood in front of the camera. But you described them beautifully.
I love wood.
I think it's important to love wood, really it's just one of those things that when you wake up in the morning, you just love your wood.
You could say that, and you did.
Anyway, all right. All right, what's next? All right. I don't know. I felt like a guitar, man. I don't know. All right. We're back in three, two,